And welcome back to episode 13. Today, we are talking about a really powerful topic of marketing automation. Now, we're going to talk about how it can save you time, improve efficiency, and drive better results. We'll talk through the benefits and drawbacks, essential tools and platforms, and best practices for implementing automation in your marketing strategy. So, what is marketing automation? Well, there's going to be a lot of definitions. There's going to be a lot of softwares, a lot of tools out there that are going to say different things. But in my mind, marketing automation is something that allows you to build some sort of process, system, follow-up program, things like that are going to automate and make it easy on your end. So you're not having to send out emails, you're not having to manually send out text messages, things like that. It's going to automate the entire process. Now, some people view it in the sales approach where drip campaigns are automated. You can do some sort of sequence, have some preloaded templates in there, have something be sent out. Some people view marketing automation as a lead comes in, they get tagged a certain way in the CRM, some sort of process gets built from there. So there's a lot of different ways that people view marketing automation, but in my opinion, marketing automation really falls within anything from building manual processes to automating things and taking a little bit of time off your hands when it comes to marketing operations. Now, the beautiful part of marketing automation is it's really become a big thing over the past couple of years where tools like Zapier have come out where you can essentially connect all of your different platforms, all of your different softwares, whatever you're using for marketing, and make it really simple. Point and center. We have a company recently that we helped build out some stuff from a Monday.com campaign. So they had some leads coming in. We built out some basically automations to where a lead comes in, they get automatically followed up with text and email, then reminders for phone calls. Then it gets put in their Monday.com board and it kind of moves from there, which is pretty sweet. So there's some really neat stuff that you can do. Now, the best part about this is comparing it to kind of golf equipment over the time. And if we're thinking about back in the 90s when they were playing golf, equipment has really kind of evolved. And the same thing is to be said about marketing automation. There's so many different tools and softwares out there that make it really a breeze to implement marketing automation. Now, kind of the core components of marketing automation, in my mind, there's about 5 that we could kind of identify as like the core components. And then obviously there's a lot more outside of that. But one of the first one is obviously email marketing automation. Now, email marketing automation is pretty neat because like I was kind of talking about, there's ways that if you're doing either cold or warm outreach, let's talk cold outreach just for a second. If you're using some sort of cold outreach, what we typically do is we will do like an Apollo campaign, drive some contacts that we can figure out through some advanced filtering, find decision makers, and then put them in some sort of email sequence. Now, when we say email sequence, typically we're doing, let's say, a three email drip campaign over the course of a week, where we establish email 1 that gets sent out automatically, email 2 gets sent, let's say, day 2 or 3 of the campaign, and then email 3 gets sent, let's say, day 5 of the campaign. And one of the best parts is you can set up sequences to where an email gets sent, and if they don't open that email, you can either send another of that same email to them just as a reminder, or you can automatically have email 2 get sent. Now, there's ways that you can filter and do some really cool things. You can have an email being sent. If that first one does not get opened, you can send a reminder. And then as soon as they open it, have it kick off to that second email and have a 3-day countdown and then send. I mean, there's some really cool stuff. So it's really neat what you can do on the email marketing side. Now, on social media scheduling and monitoring, this has been around for quite some time. Obviously, it's probably a little bit less fresh than the email marketing because there's so many new things. But the beautiful part about social media scheduling and monitoring is there's a lot of automated softwares now that basically allow you, if you connect all of your social profiles in one tool, it'll allow you to schedule out, and you can do even certain times. So TikTok gets sent out at 9 a.m., Facebook gets posted at 10:30, and then Instagram gets put out at 2:30. The reason being there's so many audience insights that you can generate from each social profile. And so you can say my audience is online at 10, 11 o'clock. Now, something to know, this obviously is going to fall in a little bit more social media algorithm, but it's something that we've realized recently, and we kind of wanted to touch on it today, was when you're scheduling content and you think that your audience is at a certain time online that you can see from your tools, you don't want to have a social media post get scheduled automatically, let's say at 10 a.m., because if you think about it, the algorithm has to show it to some of your audience and then some of your non-audience and make sure that the content is relevant. And so what we typically say is schedule it out at like 9:30 if your audience is most likely on at 10 o'clock, so that it has time to filter towards certain audience members, and then by 10 o'clock it gets syndicated properly. That's what we recommend, just because it makes it a little bit easier. Now, there's also what we would consider like lead nurturing and scoring systems that you can automate, which is pretty neat. And so this kind of goes back to like the email sequence side of things, where if someone opens a campaign, we give them a certain score. If someone click-throughs a certain campaign, if someone doesn't open a campaign, we can put certain scoring. And so, especially if an organization has some sort of sales team, this really makes a big difference, because you can actually look at the quality and efficiency of your leads and whether it's worth it or not of what's bringing in. Because we can say, while we sent out 1,000 emails, only 10 opened it, that's success or not based on the company's objectives. And we can say, hey, this list is great, or hey, we might need to go back to the drawing table because this is not working. Now, another really neat thing, kind of our fourth topic within the core components of marketing automation, is going to be customer segmentation and targeted campaigns. Now, what you can actually do is you can actually set up filters on the back end of what you're doing to basically create custom segments based on what filters you want. Now, let's say we want to send out some sort of direct mail campaign and some cold emails to doctors in the Denver, Colorado area. Now, let's say we also have some sort of segment where we want to target, dentists specifically in the Dallas market. They're two different segments, but we want to do kind of the same premise with a little bit of segmentation for each one and personalization. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in filters for each category. So if it's within our certain list, if it's within our certain psychodemic or demographic information, we can essentially add that in and filter, and then it automatically routes them based on the decision-making tree that we've created, which makes a big difference. Now, the fifth most important part that we always recommend is analytics and reporting tools. We've actually found a really neat tool that we use for our agency that automates a lot of our analytics, a lot of our reporting, and then it allows for us to do a little bit of manual work, but it also brings in a lot of the tedious work that we wouldn't have to do. Now, what this does is it essentially brings in data from campaigns and allows for us to send out automated or manual reports to our clients without us having to spend hours and hours building templates for PowerPoint presentations, without campaign briefs, things like that. So it really makes a big difference. Now, if we're looking at the four components of those marketing automation side, it's amazing to think about how much time that's probably saving a business, or especially a marketing department, on what they're doing, because marketing takes up so much time just in general that it really makes a big difference when you're able to implement a little bit of these core components of marketing automation. Now, kind of boiling down, if you're struggling with adoption of marketing automation, or you're struggling to see the benefits, we kind of see it as three different benefits of marketing automation if an organization can adopt it. So number one is going to be increased operational efficiency. This is going to allow you to have more time to focus on strategy and content, not getting bogged down with just kind of the standard stuff that is kind of wasteless time and waste of resources. Now, number two, it's going to improve your customer targeting, because if you're able to do advanced filtering, if you're able to do segmentation without having to do a bunch of work on the back end, what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to deliver the right message at the right time, which in my opinion is very important. Now, number three, in my kind of the most important part for us, is it allows for enhanced measurement and optimization. So if you think about it from a golf perspective, you're able to track performance and tweak perfection, just like fine tuning your golf swing. If you have a TrackMan, if you have something that is kind of monitoring all these different analytics and data points, it allows for you to basically track all these things without having to manually do it, and be able to go back and say, man, that was a great practice round. This was a great practice swing. And in turn, your marketing operations are kind of the same way, which makes a big difference. Now, as always, we're going to discuss a little bit of a real world success story, and it's probably one of my favorite ones. So Starbucks, as we know, as we love, they've done an incredible job at personalizing customer experience at scale with marketing automation. Now, a little bit of background. Obviously, if you don't know, which I don't know how many of you don't know what Starbucks is. Starbucks is a world-renowned coffee house chain. It's known for its commitment to customer personalization. And while with its vast customer base, personalization at scale seems so daunting, but Starbucks has leveraged marketing automation to make this a reality. Now, the challenge for Starbucks was, how does it maintain its local coffee shop feel while also serving millions of customers worldwide? They needed to deliver personalized marketing that catered to individual performances and purchase behaviors across a broad and diverse audience. Now, what did they do when it came to marketing automation implementation? Well, what they did was they implemented my Starbucks Rewards program. This was kind of powered by a sophisticated marketing automation platform that collected a wealth of data from users through their interactions with the Starbucks app and in-store purchases. Now, kind of their key features and strategies were one, rewards program, so customers were able to earn stars stars for purchases, which leads to free items and discounts, which ultimately incentivize continued engagement. Number two, they brought in personalized offers. So they were actually use this automation system to analyze purchase history and preferences, which even made it better because they could send targeted offers and recommendations to customers through both their app and their email. Now, they also enabled mobile order and pay, which obviously allows customers to order ahead and pay via their mobile device, which in-store operations and from a customer personalization perspective, it allowed for them to streamline the purchase process and gather valuable data on buying habits, which is so key. Now, what's kind of interesting is they're actually integrating AI into their marketing automation. And so they're able to get a little bit more precise personalization based on time of day, location, weather, personal buying history, which I think is a really interesting topic that I think a lot of companies are going to be implementing. I think over the past couple of years, a lot of companies have been investing in data science and implementing things like this for their app. So it'll be pretty neat to see how companies get more personalized, especially on their apps. Now, from kind of this campaign, the results that we're seeing were really, really impressive. So their marketing automation efforts led to a significant increase in customer engagement and loyalty, as they reported that their rewards program had over 16 million active members, which accounted for approximately 40% of sales at the time of reporting. Now, personalized recommendations and offers boosted not only sales, but also customer satisfaction by delivering value that was relevant to each individual. The use of AI and automation in their app allowed Starbucks to handle a vast amount of transactions smoothly and provided a platform for both upselling and cross-selling products, which is pretty incredible. Now, if we're kind of wrapping up this real-world example, Starbucks' use of marketing automation demonstrates how a business can maintain a personal connection with each customer at scale. It shows that with the right data and tools, a company can deliver personalized experiences that drive loyalty and revenue without sacrificing efficiency. Now, as businesses, as marketing departments, how do we get started with marketing automation? Because that's going to be our first question. We've talked about the benefits, we've talked about real world examples. So in my opinion, there's three different things that we need to do. First, we need to discuss how to evaluate business needs and readiness. Two, we need to look at tips for selecting the right marketing automation tools. And three, we need to figure out what are the key steps for implementing automation and marketing strategies. Now, breaking these down just a little bit more, when we discuss how to evaluate business needs and readiness, I think this is something that has to be done from a full-on organizational standpoint. If you're a one-person marketing department, if you're a small business owner, if you have 35 employees, I think all of this relates to everyone, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that what we're implementing from a marketing perspective, whether it's emails, whether it's in-app stuff, we need to make sure that from one perspective, operationally, that it works. It doesn't overburden our staff. It doesn't overburden any stores, any like shipping automations, things like that. But also we need to take into account, how do we build in a personalized experience and make it even better from a marketing perspective? Second, one of the things that you can do when you're looking at selecting the right marketing automation tools is do a lot of research and figure out exactly what works. There's going to be some platforms out there that allow for you to basically handle all of your automation in one platform. Sometimes they're a little bit more cost effective. Sometimes they're a little bit more costly. It kind of just depends. But the most important part is there's no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to marketing automation. Some companies use Zapier to connect all of their apps, and maybe they have 10 to 12 different marketing platforms that they're using across email marketing, across social media scheduling, and that works for them, and it's really important for them if it works. And so, there's going to be a lot of people that say you need this one app or you need this one marketing automation software. And in my opinion, it really depends on what your business goals, objectives, and overall outcomes are. Now, one thing to consider when you're implementing is when you're selecting these tools and you're implementing it, it might sound like it works in the beginning, but you also have to think about long-term scale. Now, if you spend a lot of time building out these automations, if you hire a company to build out automations, one of the things that you have to take into consideration is is this viable for the long term? Now, you're obviously not a mind reader, so you don't know exactly how long you're going to stay in this platform, how much it can scale. But something to also consider is, what are we going to be building out for the future? And are we going to have to completely build a new system in the next 2 years if we scale to a certain level? And is that going to take a lot more resources? Because if you get stuck on one platform, let's say they do all in one, and eventually you realize that you need 6 different platforms to handle everything based on scale, is it worth the ease of access for the first year to build out? And that answer might be yes, or it might be no. And you have to consider, is that transition able to be operationally done, and are we willing to basically build everything from scratch if we have to pivot? Or maybe you're in the situation where you can just go to one platform, and that's going to be beneficial for you for the entire 5-year long-term campaign. Now, a couple of the common pitfalls that we've seen and kind of how to avoid them, we're going to break it down to 3. So one of them is over automation and losing their personal touch. 2 is going to be data quality and integration issues. And 3, underutilizing the full features of automation tools, which kind of sounds counterintuitive, because if we think about it, I just gave you 3 common pitfalls, and 2 of them are basically the same, just on opposite scales. One is going to be the over automation and losing the personal touch. We want to make sure that anything that we automate, whenever it comes to email campaigns, text messages, even personalized handwritten thank you notes that might not even be handwritten but look handwritten, we need to make sure that they still keep some sort of element of a personal touch. Because, for instance, we had someone that was trying to prospect us recently. They sent out a mass email and they made it personalized, but what they forgot to do was, instead of sending it as a single send, they sent it out to over 300 people on one email. And so what that did was, it really showed the fact that while they are being a little bit more personalized, they made one mistake of adding everyone onto their email. It was probably one button that they randomly pressed that they shouldn't have, that literally made it sound like they were sending it out to everyone, and they were. So one of the things is, it really brings back that personal touch and doesn't make it seem like it's there. Now, from a second point, data quality and integration issues. This can be where it can get a little bit more dicey from a smaller organization scale, because if you're not hiring someone to implement, if you obviously don't have someone to implement it internally, it can get a little bit sketchy and a little bit dicey when it comes to implementing tools, because sometimes there's so many different data pieces that you have to implement or make sure that they match for the automation to run. And so sometimes this can take hours and hours for you to fill out. But at the end of the day, if you think about the long-term ROI and benefit from this, and it really makes a big difference from a long-term planning approach and a long-term operational approach. Now, third, on the other side of over automation, we want to make sure that we're not underutilizing the full features of marketing automation tools. There's so many different things out there, and we want to make sure that, let's say we start, sometimes it's good to just start with a campaign and try it out. You start automating one email, and that turns into 2 and turns into 3, instead of the fear of how to implement 1 or 5, and then you stop and you don't do it. And so we want to make sure that, at the same time, that we're not over automating things. We want to make sure that we're actually taking time off our plate if we're looking at marketing automation, and making sure that we're taking care of all of the things that we should be able to without lack of time constraints, which is huge. Now, what does the future of marketing automation look like? Well, in my opinion, there's a lot to be unsaid, and there's a lot of things that could be coming up. Obviously, AI is coming and being a big thing. We've got a lot going on with OpenAI, with their ChatGPT 4, things like that, that really make a big thing. One of the things that we've actually seen people implement is, there is an API on the back end of ChatGPT 4 actually, or OpenAI's API, that always confuses me, that allows for you to actually pull in automations. And so let's say, it allows for you to pull in prompts, so you can actually add some sort of company details, some sort of prompt that automatically feeds into OpenAI from a Google Sheet, and spits out some sort of answer from that prompt into your Google Sheet, which makes it really powerful. So you could essentially automate a selling process, a follow-up process, some sort of messaging that basically allows for you to fill out a form, have it automatically spit back a prompt to you to where it gives you some sort of answer. And then what's beautiful is you can actually add that into a Zapier, automatically tie that into your Gmail app, and send that prospect a really nice email from AI if you really wanted to. So while I might not recommend that fully, it's a great idea from practice, and might be a great idea to think about from the long term. Now, I've obviously given you a lot of information, and there's a lot of different things when it comes to marketing automation that we couldn't cover today. So kind of recapping the importance of marketing automation, we were able to see that marketing automation allows for us to streamline our processes in the marketing side and operationally, it improves our marketing ROI and sometimes allows for us to build a little bit better personalized systems. Now, if you're having troubles with marketing automation, if you have questions, if you need some feedback, ideas of how you can implement, there's some really cool ways that you can do it through different form softwares. We've recently started using charting systems where we're actually able to build an automation from scratch. We map it out in what we would consider like a flow chart, allows for us to make sure from whenever we implement for a client that it looks good on their end, and we can actually send it to our team and make sure that we can implement on our end as well. So there's a lot of cool things. Now, if you get stuck, you're always happy to, feel free to reach out to us. We send us a DM, send us an email, and we're always happy to give you some ideas, kind of troubleshoot some things, give you some stuff. So if you want to hear more about marketing automation, let us know if we should do an additional show. I think it's something that would be really cool to talk about even further in depth. So if we get enough feedback, we might do a show like that. So again, thanks for listening to Marketing Automation today and some tips. If you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And we hope that you leave us some feedback and give us 5 stars if you feel so inclined. This wrapped up episode 13 about marketing automation. Thanks.